The Richest Man Alive. What he knows that you don't. Two men walk into a casino. Both carry the same amount of money. Both understand the rules of poker. Both have studied the odds. Yet one leaves wealthy, and the other leaves broke. What made the difference? The winner understood something the loser never saw. The real game wasn't happening on the green felt table. It was happening in his mind. This is the first secret the richest man alive knows that you don't. Money is never the game. It's only the score of a deeper, invisible game being played in the realm of thoughts, beliefs, and inner certainties. While most people exhaust themselves chasing dollars, the truly wealthy focus their energy on mastering the mental game that creates those dollars. You see this truth everywhere once you know where to look. Two salesmen work the same territory, selling identical products. One thrives while the other barely survives. Two entrepreneurs launch similar businesses on the same street. One builds an empire, while the other folds within a year. The difference isn't luck, timing, or even talent. The difference is what's happening in the invisible realm of their inner world. 1. The hidden game. Most people approach wealth like a beggar approaches a feast, hoping for scraps to fall from someone else's table. They see money as something out there that must be hunted, captured, or stumbled upon. They believe wealth happens to the lucky few, or to those born with special advantages they'll never have. But the richest man alive knows better. He understands that wealth begins the moment you realize money is magnetic to certain types of thinking and allergic to others. Money flows toward minds that operate by its natural laws and away from minds that violate them. It's as predictable as water flowing downhill. Think of a master gardener. He doesn't chase individual flowers around his yard, trying to force them to bloom. Instead, he prepares the soil, plants the right seeds, provides proper conditions, and lets natural law do the work. The blooms appear not because he forced them, but because he created an environment where they couldn't help but appear. Your mind is the soil. Your thoughts are the seeds. Your financial results are the inevitable harvest. The richest man alive has learned to tend his inner garden with the same precision that a master craftsman tends his tools. He knows that every thought about money, every belief about his capabilities, every assumption about what's possible creates the invisible conditions that determine what shows up in his bank account. This isn't mystical thinking, it's practical wisdom. Your outer world of financial results can never exceed the inner world of your beliefs and expectations. You can't withdraw more money from life than you first deposited in confidence, certainty, and clear thinking. Consider what happens when you truly understand this principle. Instead of waking up worried about how to get more money, you wake up curious about how to upgrade your thinking. Instead of envying others' wealth, you study their mental patterns. Instead of feeling like a victim of financial circumstances, you realize you're the architect of those circumstances. This shift changes everything. When you know that wealth is an inside job, you stop wasting time on get-rich-quick schemes and start investing time in get-rich-sure principles. You stop looking for the secret method and start becoming the secret, the kind of person that money seeks out. Here's how you begin playing the hidden game starting today. Each morning, before you check your bank balance or count your bills, examine your mental balance. What thoughts about money are you carrying? What beliefs about your financial future are you nurturing? What assumptions about wealth are you feeding with your attention? Most people discover they've been unconsciously playing against themselves. They want more money while simultaneously believing they don't deserve it. They dream of wealth while thinking of rich people as greedy or corrupt. They set financial goals while carrying deep certainties that they'll never achieve them. The richest man alive has eliminated this mental civil war. His thoughts, beliefs, and expectations all point in the same direction. He thinks about money the way a master musician thinks about his instrument, with respect, understanding, and natural confidence in his ability to create beautiful results. You become wealthy the moment you stop seeing money as the destination and start seeing it as the natural result of who you are becoming. You are not a person trying to get money. You are a person whose thoughts, beliefs, and mental patterns make money's appearance inevitable. Money doesn't care about your current circumstances. It doesn't know about your past failures or present limitations. Money only responds to the invisible signals you broadcast through your dominant thoughts and deep beliefs about what's possible for someone like you. The richest man alive broadcasts the signal of wealth not because he has money, but because he understands the mental laws that create it. His confidence doesn't come from his bank account comes from his confidence. When you realize that every financial result begins in the invisible realm of mind, you stop being a beggar at the feast of wealth. You become the host who creates the feast. What invisible game have you been unconsciously playing in your mind? And what would change if you realized you've had the power to change the rules all along? 2. Identity before income. A man once approached the richest man alive and demanded to know the secret of his success. "Teach me your methods," he said. "Show me your strategies, your investments, your business plans." The richest man smiled and asked a simple question. "Who do you believe you are?" Mormonis. Formanus smiled. One. The man was confused. "I am a hard worker. I am ambitious. I want to be wealthy." "No," replied the richest man. "You have told me what you do and what you want. I asked who you are." This distinction contains one of the most powerful truths about wealth. You can never sustainably earn beyond who you believe you are, only up to the ceiling of your self-image. Most people attack the problem of money backward. They chase techniques, tactics, and opportunities while carrying the identity of someone who struggles with money. They try to build a mansion on a foundation of sand, then wonder why it crumbles. Think of the man who wins a fortune through luck or inheritance, but loses it all within a few years. His outer circumstances changed, but his inner identity remained, that of a poor man. The money felt foreign in his hands because it did not match who he believed himself to be. Like water finding its level, his external world eventually matched his internal self-image. Now consider the entrepreneur who loses everything in a business failure but builds it back again, often greater than before. Her identity was never shaken by temporary circumstances. She knew herself to be a creator of wealth, not merely a lucky recipient of it. The external loss was simply a detour, not a destination. Your identity is the quiet voice that whispers who you are when no one is watching. It is the collection of beliefs, standards, and expectations you hold about yourself. This identity acts like a thermostat in your life, constantly working to keep your external results in alignment with your internal self-concept. When a person with a poor identity temporarily earns more money, discomfort sets in. The subconscious mind, like a faithful guardian, works to restore the familiar equilibrium. Suddenly, unexpected expenses arise. Poor decisions seem compelling. Self-sabotage disguises itself as bad luck. But when a person with a wealthy identity faces temporary setback, the same mechanism works in reverse. The discomfort of being below their self-image creates an internal pressure that drives them back toward their true level. They naturally make decisions that rebuild their wealth because anything less feels wrong. The richest man alive understands that identity is not fixed. It can be deliberately constructed. He knows that before you change what you have, you must change who you are. You begin this transformation by examining the story you tell yourself about money and your relationship to it. Do you see yourself as someone who struggles with money, who never has enough, who must work harder than others for less? Or do you see yourself as someone money flows to naturally, someone who creates value wherever you go, someone who makes wise decisions with ease? Your current financial situation is not permanent truth about you. It is simply the external reflection of your current identity. Change the identity, and the situation must eventually follow. Start by deciding what kind of person you intend to become. Not what you want to achieve, but who you want to be. The wealthy person is not wealthy because they have money. They have money because they are wealthy in their thinking, their habits, their character, and their self-concept. You become wealthy by acting from the identity of a wealthy person before the bank account reflects it. You make decisions as a wealthy person would make them. You solve problems as a wealthy person would solve them. You carry yourself with the quiet confidence that belongs to someone who knows their true worth. This is not about pretending or putting on an act. This is about recognizing that your current identity was also constructed piece by piece, through years of experiences, decisions, and the stories you told yourself about what those experiences meant. You can construct a new identity with the same deliberate process. You are not your bank account. You are not your current circumstances. You are not the financial mistakes of your past or the limitations others have placed on your future. You are the author of your own story. And that story begins with how you see yourself. The richest man alive became rich not when his first million arrived, but on the day he decided he was the kind of person who naturally creates and attracts wealth. From this moment forward, you carry yourself as someone worthy of prosperity. You think as someone capable of creating immense value. You act as someone who belongs in the company of the successful and wealthy. Your income will rise to meet your identity, but your identity must rise first. The question that will change your life is not, how can I make more money? But rather, who must I become to be worthy of the wealth I desire? 3. Inner worth first. The palace treasury holds 10,000 gold coins, but the king's son cannot touch a single one, not because guards prevent him, not because locks secure the vault, but because he has convinced himself he is merely a servant. He walks past riches meant for him every day, seeing only what confirms his false story about who he is. You face the same invisible barrier that separates this prince from his inheritance. Money surrounds you in the hands of others, flowing through markets, waiting in opportunities, yet you cannot claim what could be yours. The obstacle is not your education, your background, or your current circumstances. The obstacle is the quiet voice that whispers you are not worthy of abundance. Money flows to the person who feels worthy of it, not the one who only wishes for it. This is not mysticism or empty philosophy. It is the observed truth of how wealth moves through the world. The person who apologizes for charging fair prices attracts customers who expect discounts. The person who believes good fortune belongs to others creates circumstances that prove this belief correct. The person who feels undeserving finds ways to sabotage their own success, sometimes within inches of breakthrough. Worthiness is not earned through suffering or granted by others. It is claimed through a fundamental shift in how you see yourself in relation to prosperity. When you believe at your core that you deserve good things, you act differently. You speak with quiet authority. You ask for what you need without shame. You recognize opportunities because you expect them to appear. You persist through setbacks because temporary defeats cannot diminish your inner certainty that abundance belongs to you. The richest man alive knows something that escapes most people. Feeling worthy of wealth is not arrogance. It is honesty. You are part of a universe that produces abundance constantly. The earth yields harvests. The sun provides energy. Nature creates endless cycles of renewal and growth. You are not separate from this creative force. You are an expression of it. To deny your worthiness of prosperity is to deny the fundamental generosity of existence itself. Yet most people carry an inner poverty that no external gain can heal. They accumulate money while feeling like imposters. They achieve success while waiting for someone to expose them as frauds. They build wealth while believing deep down that they do not deserve to keep it. This internal conflict creates external chaos. Money comes and goes in cycles that match their inner turbulence about whether they truly merit what they have gained. You can trace every financial struggle back to a moment when you accepted a story about your unworthiness. Perhaps someone told you that money corrupts good people. Perhaps you learned that wanting wealth makes you greedy. Perhaps you concluded that your family background or past mistakes disqualify you from abundance. These beliefs operate like invisible shackles, limiting what you allow yourself to receive even when opportunities present themselves clearly. The transformation begins when you recognize that your relationship with money reflects your relationship with yourself. If you believe you are not enough, money becomes a way to compensate for inner lack. If you believe you are flawed, money becomes a way to hide your deficiencies. If you believe you are worthy, money becomes a natural extension of your value, flowing toward you as inevitably as water flows downhill. Building genuine worthiness requires that you examine and change the stories you tell yourself about who you are and what you deserve. You must become vigilant about the voice in your head that minimizes your contributions, diminishes your value, and convinces you that abundance belongs to everyone except you. This voice is not protecting you from disappointment. It is creating the very limitations it claims to guard against. Start by noticing how you speak about money and success. Do you praise wealthy people or quietly resent them? Do you celebrate others' good fortune or wonder why they deserve what you lack? Do you pursue opportunities with confidence or apologize for wanting to improve your circumstances? Your words and reactions reveal the beliefs that shape your financial reality. Practice feeling worthy in small ways before expecting to claim large rewards. Charge fair prices for your work without justifying or discounting. Accept compliments without deflecting them. Ask for help when you need it without excessive apologies. These simple acts rewire your relationship with receiving, training you to accept good things as naturally as you breathe. Worthiness is not a feeling you must manufacture. It is a truth you must stop denying. You do not become worthy by achieving more, acquiring more, or proving more. You are worthy because you exist, because you have unique value to offer the world, because the same force that creates stars and oceans created you. When you align your inner knowing with this reality, money begins to align with you. The richest man alive does not hope he deserves prosperity. He knows it with unshakable certainty. He does not apologize for his success or minimize his value. He receives abundance as naturally as he gives value, understanding that both are part of the same endless exchange that governs all life. He has claimed his worthiness not as a reward for past achievement, but as the foundation for future creation. You become wealthy the moment you stop asking if you deserve abundance and start asking how much abundance you are willing to receive. 4. Think in value. Most people approach wealth backwards. They wake up each morning asking the wrong question entirely. They ask, "How can I make more money today?" But the richest man alive asks something completely different. How much value can I create today? This difference in questions creates the difference between those who struggle and those who prosper. The person focused on getting money thinks in terms of extraction. How much can I take from this situation? How much can I squeeze from this opportunity? How little can I give while still getting paid? This mindset creates a life of constant hustle with diminishing returns. But the person focused on creating value thinks in terms of contribution. How much can I give to this situation? How can I solve a problem that truly matters? How can I make someone's life genuinely better? This mindset creates a life where opportunities multiply and money flows naturally. Value is not what you think you provide. It is what others actually receive and appreciate. A man may believe his product is valuable, but if no one willingly pays for it, he has created no real value. Value exists only when someone else benefits enough to exchange their money for what you offer. The marketplace is the ultimate judge of value. It cares nothing for your effort, your intentions, or your needs. It responds only to results that improve people's lives. When you solve real problems for real people, money becomes the natural reward for the value you have delivered. Consider two merchants selling bread. The first focuses on his profit margin. He uses cheaper ingredients, rushes the process, and thinks constantly about how much money each loaf will bring him. His bread is ordinary, and his customers buy from him only when they have no better choice. The second merchant focuses on creating the finest bread possible. He studies his craft, sources quality ingredients, and thinks constantly about how to make each loaf more nourishing and delicious. His bread costs more, but customers seek him out. They tell their friends. They return again and again. Which merchant builds lasting wealth? The one who stopped thinking about money and started thinking about value. This principle applies whether you work for someone else or own your own enterprise. The employee who asks, "How can I make myself more valuable to this organization?" advances far beyond the one who asks, "How can I get a raise?" The business owner who asks, "How can I serve my customers better?" builds an empire, while his competitor who asks, "How can I charge more?" struggles to survive. Value creation requires you to step outside yourself and into the world of others. You must understand their problems, their desires, their frustrations. You must see what they need before they know they need it. This outward focus transforms you from someone seeking opportunity into someone creating opportunity. The richest man alive has learned that value compounds. When you consistently create more value than you capture, you build a reputation. When you build a reputation, people seek you out. When people seek you out, you gain leverage. When you gain leverage, you command higher prices and better terms. But here lies the paradox that confuses most people. The less you focus on the money, the more money you make. The more directly you chase wealth, the more it eludes you. Wealth comes to those who deserve it through value creation, not to those who merely want it. Start where you are with what you have. Look around you and identify one problem you could solve better than it is currently being solved. This problem need not be grand or complex. The fortunes of the world have been built on solving simple problems exceptionally well. Ask yourself, what skills do I possess that could benefit others? What knowledge have I gained that could save others time or trouble? What service could I provide that would make someone's life easier, better, or more enjoyable? Then commit yourself fully to becoming excellent at creating that value. Study your craft with dedication. Listen to feedback with humility. Improve your offering with persistence. Excellence in value creation is the most reliable path to wealth that has ever existed. When you master the art of value creation, you discover something remarkable. You no longer worry about money because you know how to create it. You possess the most valuable asset possible, the ability to generate wealth by improving the lives of others. You become a person of substance rather than a person of schemes. You build wealth that lasts rather than money that disappears. You create security that no economic storm can destroy because you carry within yourself the power to create value anywhere, anytime, for anyone. The moment you shift from thinking, how can I get, to thinking, how can I give, you join the ranks of those whom wealth seeks out rather than those who chase after wealth. What problem will you choose to solve so well that people will gladly pay you to keep solving it for them? 5. Cause and effect. The richest man alive sits in his study, watching the rain strike his window. Each drop follows the same invisible law. Gravity pulls it down. The angle of the glass guides its path, and it lands exactly where physics demands it must. He smiles, not at the weather, but at the perfect demonstration of a truth most people spend their entire lives refusing to see. Every result has a cause. Every cause produces a result. Nothing happens by accident, especially money. Yet walk through any city, listen to any conversation about wealth, and you will hear the language of victims. I can't catch a break. The economy is terrible. Rich people are just lucky. I never get the opportunities others get. Each phrase reveals the same delusion that financial results appear randomly, like lightning striking from a clear sky. You are living under the most reliable law in the universe. Every financial situation in your life right now, your bank account, your debt, your income, your net worth exists as the mathematical result of thousands of small causes you set in motion. Your thoughts about money, repeated daily, shaped your beliefs. Your beliefs guided your choices. Your choices became your habits. Your habits created your character. And your character attracted your current circumstances with the precision of a magnet drawing iron. This is not philosophy. This is physics applied to human behavior. The person struggling with money is not unlucky. They are experiencing the perfect effect of specific causes. Thoughts of scarcity repeated until they became beliefs. Choices that prioritize immediate comfort over long-term growth. Habits that consume more than they create, and character traits that repel opportunity rather than attract it. The person building wealth is not lucky either. They are experiencing the perfect effect of different causes. Thoughts of abundance and possibility, choices that delay gratification for greater future benefit, habits that create more value than they consume, and character traits that make others want to do business with them. Here is what separates the richest man alive from everyone else. He never asks, "Why is this happening to me?" He asks, "What did I do, think, or believe that caused this result?" He treats every financial outcome as information, not injustice. When his investments lose money, he does not blame the market. He examines his decision-making process. What emotions influenced his choice? What information did he ignore? What patterns of thinking led him to that particular risk? He adjusts the cause and watches the effects change. When money flows to him easily, he does not credit luck. He studies what he did differently. What value did he create? What problems did he solve? What habits had been building momentum beneath the surface? He amplifies those causes and watches the effects multiply. You become wealthy the moment you accept complete responsibility for every number in your financial life. Not blame responsibility. Blame looks backward with anger. Responsibility looks forward with power. This means your current financial situation is not your permanent address. It is simply the effect of causes you can change starting today. Change your thoughts about what is possible for you, and you change the foundation. Change your daily choices about how you spend time and attention, and you change the trajectory. Change your habits around learning, creating, and serving others, and you change the momentum. Most people resist this truth because it requires them to give up the comfort of being a victim. It is easier to believe that wealth comes from luck, connections, or circumstances beyond your control. This belief protects your ego but destroys your power. The moment you truly understand that you are the cause, you become unstoppable. Every financial problem becomes a puzzle to solve rather than a burden to carry. Every setback becomes information for better decisions rather than evidence that life is unfair. Start by tracing your current financial situation back to its roots. If you carry debt, what thoughts and choices created it? If your income feels stuck, what habits keep it there? If opportunities seem scarce, what qualities are you projecting that make others hesitant to bet on you? Then begin setting new causes in motion. Choose thoughts that assume wealth is possible and natural for you. Make daily choices that align with the financial future you want, rather than the comfort you crave now. Build habits that compound value over time rather than consume it immediately. Develop character traits that make money want to find you. Remember this: the richest man alive was not born rich. He simply understood cause and effect earlier than most people, and he had the courage to become the kind of person who naturally creates wealthy effects. You are not a victim of random financial forces. You are the conscious cause of everything that flows into and out of your life. Every thought you think, every choice you make, every habit you maintain is either moving you toward wealth or away from it. What causes are you setting in motion today? And are you prepared to take responsibility for the effects they will create tomorrow? 6. The law of exchange. Walk into any marketplace in any corner of the world, and you will witness the same eternal dance. One person offers what another needs. Value moves in one direction. Payment flows in the other. The transaction completes, and both parties walk away richer than before. Yet most people spend their lives trying to reverse this natural order. They focus on what they want to receive rather than what they can give. They calculate their worth by what flows into their pockets, not by what flows out of their hands. They wonder why money seems to avoid them, never realizing they have been swimming against the current of the universe's most fundamental law. The richest man alive understands that money is never the beginning of the equation. It is always the end result of a problem solved, a burden lifted, a need fulfilled. He knows that every dollar in his possession represents a moment when he made someone else's life easier, better, or more complete. He does not chase money directly because he has discovered something far more powerful: the art of becoming indispensable. Consider the simple truth that governs every exchange in human history. Money flows toward the person who removes obstacles. It gravitates to the one who bears responsibility that others cannot or will not carry. It accumulates in the hands of those who consistently deliver what they promise, when they promised it, in the manner they promised it would be delivered. The poor man looks at his empty hands and asks, "What can I get?" The rich man looks at the world's problems and asks, "What can I solve? What can I solve? What can I solve? What can I solve?" One question leads to poverty, the other to prosperity. The difference between them is not luck, education, or circumstance. The difference is understanding which direction value flows in the law of exchange. This law operates with mathematical precision. Double the size of the problem you solve, and you double your reward. Take on responsibility that affects 100 people instead of 10, and your compensation multiplies accordingly. Find a way to solve the same problem for thousands that you once solved for dozens, and watch as money finds you in amounts that once seemed impossible. But here lies the trap that catches most who seek wealth. They attempt to increase their income without increasing their value. They demand higher pay for the same work. They expect greater returns without taking greater risks. They want the rewards of responsibility without bearing its weight. The law of exchange cannot be fooled by such schemes. It responds only to genuine contribution. The richest man alive has learned to think in terms of service, not salary. When he encounters a problem, his first instinct is not to avoid it, but to understand it completely. He studies the pain it causes, measures the cost of leaving it unsolved, and then positions himself as the bridge between the problem and its solution. He knows that the size of his bank account will always reflect the size of the problems he can handle. You can see this law at work in every corner of life. The doctor who can perform surgery that others cannot commands higher fees than one who treats common ailments. The business owner who can organize the work of hundreds earns more than the employee who manages only himself. The advisor who can see solutions where others see only confusion becomes wealthy not by accident, but by natural law. Money is not distributed randomly or unfairly. It flows to where it is earned through exchange. Every person who possesses great wealth has, at some point, provided something that others valued more than the money they paid for it. This is not a theory to be debated, but a law to be understood and applied. The practical application of this law requires a fundamental shift in how you approach your work and your world. Instead of beginning each day by thinking about what you need, begin by thinking about what others need that you might provide. Instead of focusing on your financial goals, focus on expanding your capacity to solve problems and bear responsibility. Look around your current environment and identify the friction points that slow progress or cause frustration. Notice the tasks that others find difficult or time-consuming. Pay attention to the problems that people complain about but have not solved. Each of these observations is a doorway to increased income if you are willing to walk through it. Start small, but start immediately. Take on one additional responsibility that no one has asked you to handle. Solve one problem that makes your workplace, your community, or your family function more smoothly. Do this not for immediate reward, but to prove to yourself that the law of exchange works exactly as described. As your capacity grows, the size of the problems you can handle will grow with it. The doctor begins by learning to treat minor injuries and advances to complex surgeries. The business leader starts by managing a small team and eventually oversees entire organizations. The path to greater reward is always through greater usefulness. Watch how your relationship with money transforms when you stop chasing it and start earning it through exchange. Notice how opportunities begin to appear when you develop a reputation for solving problems rather than creating them. Observe how people begin to seek you out when you become known as someone who delivers results rather than excuses. You are not a victim of economic forces beyond your control. You are a participant in the law of exchange, with the power to determine your position in the transaction. You become wealthy not by demanding more from the world, but by offering more to it. You attract money not by needing it desperately, but by earning it through valuable exchange. What problem will you choose to solve today that no one else is willing to tackle? 7. Long-time horizons. There is a strange paradox among those who chase wealth quickly. The faster they try to get it, the longer it takes to arrive. Meanwhile, those who think in decades often find abundance flowing to them within years. The richest man alive has discovered something that escapes the desperate masses. Wealth belongs to those who can think, plan, and act on a scale longer than their impulses. Walk through any marketplace and you will see two distinct species of human beings. The first group moves with urgent energy, eyes darting from opportunity to opportunity, always seeking the shortcut, the quick profit, the immediate return. They speak in terms of days and weeks. How fast can this pay off? They ask. What's the quickest way to make money? 3. -1. Wages. They speak in terms of days and week. Their hands are always reaching, grasping for the low-hanging fruit that promises instant satisfaction. The second group moves differently. They walk with deliberate calm, asking different questions entirely. What will this look like in 5 years? They wonder. How can I build something that grows stronger with time? While others plant annual flowers, these people plant oak trees. While others sprint toward mirages, these people construct roads that lead to real destinations. The difference between these two groups is not intelligence, talent, or luck. The difference is time horizon, the length of time across which someone thinks, plans, and acts. Your time horizon determines not just how much money you will have, but what kind of person you will become in the process of earning it. Consider the farmer who plants corn and the farmer who plants fruit trees. Both work the same soil, under the same sun, with equal dedication, but their time horizons create entirely different realities. The corn farmer thinks in seasons and earns in seasons. The orchard farmer thinks in decades and eventually earns while he sleeps. The corn farmer must replant every year. The orchard farmer's trees grow stronger and more productive with each passing season. Both approaches have their place, but only one creates true wealth. Most people live their financial lives like corn farmers when they could be living like orchard farmers. They take jobs that pay by the hour instead of building skills that compound by the year. They buy things that lose value instead of acquiring assets that appreciate. They solve today's problems while ignoring tomorrow's opportunities. They remain trapped in the urgent while the important waits patiently in the future. But you can choose a different path. You can extend your time horizon and watch as the world begins to rearrange itself around your patient vision. This choice requires you to make peace with delayed gratification. In a culture that worships speed, you must become comfortable with slowness. In an economy that celebrates the instant, you must find strength in the gradual. This is not about denying yourself pleasure or living like a monk. This is about understanding that the most profound pleasures come to those who can wait for them to ripen fully. The richest man alive thinks in decades while acting in days. He makes daily choices based on their impact 10 years from now. He builds relationships that will mature into partnerships. He develops skills that will become more valuable with time. He invests in assets that will compound, not consume. He asks not what will make him money today, but what will make him wealthy tomorrow. Start by changing how you measure progress. Instead of asking what you gained this month, ask what you built that will serve you next year. Instead of celebrating quick wins, celebrate the establishment of systems that produce sustainable results. Begin to see yourself as someone who builds rather than takes, who plants rather than merely harvests. Examine your current activities through the lens of time. Which of your daily actions will matter in 5 years? Which of your investments, whether in stocks, skills, or relationships, will compound with age? Where are you trading long-term wealth for short-term comfort? The answers to these questions will reveal whether you are thinking like someone who will become wealthy or someone who will always struggle. Practice delaying gratification in small ways until it becomes a source of strength rather than suffering. When you feel the urge to buy something immediately, wait a week. When you want to abandon a project because it isn't showing instant results, commit to continuing for another month. Train yourself to find satisfaction in the process of building rather than only in the moment of receiving. You are not someone who needs everything right now. You are not at the mercy of your impulses. You are someone who can think beyond today, plan beyond this year, and build beyond this decade. You become wealthy not because you chase money quickly, but because you pursue it wisely, with the patience of someone who understands that the best things take time to create. What would you begin building today if you knew it would make you wealthy in 10 years? 8. Masters of attention. The carpenter knows that where he points his plane, the wood will be shaped. The archer knows that where she aims her arrow, the target will be struck. Yet most people stumble through life pointing their most precious tool, their attention everywhere and nowhere, then wonder why their results seem scattered and weak. Your attention is your fortune-making faculty. It is more valuable than your time, more powerful than your talent, and more predictive of your wealth than your current bank account. What you repeatedly give your attention to, you eventually pay for or get paid for. Most people have this backwards. They believe attention follows results. They think they will focus on wealth once they have it. Focus on their business once it succeeds. Focus on opportunities once they appear obvious. But the richest man alive knows a secret that changes everything. Results follow attention, not the other way around. Attention is not the same as effort. You can work hard on many things and still be poor. You can be busy from morning to night and still be broke. Effort without focused attention is like a river without banks. It spreads everywhere and moves nothing significant. But attention is effort with direction, energy with intention, force with purpose. Consider two men starting their careers. The first scatters his attention like seeds thrown carelessly in all directions. He thinks about dozens of opportunities, worries about hundreds of problems, and dreams about thousands of possibilities. His mind jumps from real estate to stocks, from side businesses to get-rich-quick schemes, from one fear to another uncertainty. He is busy, he is thinking, but his attention serves no master. The second man chooses one path and gives it the full force of his focused mind. He studies everything about his chosen field. He notices what others miss because he is looking where others are not. He sees opportunities that his scattered competitor cannot see because his attention has been trained, disciplined, and directed like a laser beam. While the first man knows a little about everything, the second man knows everything about the right thing. After 10 years, the first man has experience in many areas and expertise in none. The second man has become a master. The difference was not intelligence, not luck, not even effort. The difference was attention. The poor give their attention to their problems. They think about what they lack, worry about what might go wrong, and focus on why things are difficult. Their attention, like a gardener's care, makes whatever it touches grow stronger. Problems receiving attention become bigger problems. Fears receiving focus become bigger fears. Limitations receiving energy become bigger limitations. The rich give their attention to possibilities. They study successful people, think about solutions, and focus on what could work. Their attention feeds what serves them. Opportunities receiving focus reveal more opportunities. Solutions receiving attention birth better solutions. Possibilities receiving energy become realities. But here is where most people stumble. They try to control their attention through willpower alone, like trying to direct a river with bare hands. The richest man alive knows that attention follows interest, and interest follows value. You cannot force yourself to focus on what you do not find valuable. You can only discover the value that already exists. This is why the wealthy spend so much time with books, mentors, and conversations that reveal the hidden value in what they want to focus on. They do not try to manufacture interest. They educate themselves until interest becomes inevitable. They learn until what seemed boring becomes fascinating. They study until what seemed impossible becomes logical. The master of attention also knows what deserves focus and what deserves neglect. The news wants your attention, but pays you nothing for it. Gossip wants your attention, but makes you nothing from it. Worry wants your attention, but creates nothing with it. Drama wants your attention, but builds nothing through it. Meanwhile, your skills want your attention and will pay you handsomely for it. Your relationships want your attention and will multiply your opportunities through it. Your vision wants your attention and will reshape your reality because of it. Problems that you can solve want your attention and will compensate you for it. The question is not whether you have the power to focus. You focus perfectly on what you value. The question is whether what you value deserves the treasure of your attention. Start by conducting an attention audit. For 1 week, simply notice where your mind goes. No judgment, no changes, just awareness. You will discover that your current results are a perfect mirror of your current attention patterns. Your income reflects what you have been focusing on. Your relationships reflect what you have been giving mental energy to. Your problems reflect what you have been feeding with your thoughts. Then, begin the gentle work of redirection. Choose one area of your life that could transform your wealth. Give it 15 minutes of pure, undistracted attention each morning, not effort attention. Study it. Think about it. Question it. Explore it. Feed it with the fuel of your focused mind. As you master attention, you master results. As you direct your focus, you direct your future. You become one of the few who understands that attention is not something you have, but something you are. You are what you repeatedly focus on. What is worthy of the treasure of your attention today? 9. Desires with direction. The difference between a dream and a reality is not the size of the vision, it is the precision of its edges. Walk through any marketplace and you will observe two kinds of people. The first wanders from stall to stall, eyes darting everywhere, hands touching everything, wanting it all but choosing nothing. The second moves with quiet purpose, knowing exactly what they seek, seeing through the noise to find precisely what serves their plan. The first returns home empty-handed despite seeing abundance. The second returns with exactly what they need. Your financial life follows the same pattern. Vague wishes produce vague results, while clear, committed desires shape the world around you. Most people believe they know what they want. I want to be rich, they declare. I want financial freedom. I want security. But these are not desires. They are shadows of desires. They lack the sharp definition that turns mental energy into physical results. A true desire possesses three qualities that separate it from mere wishing. First, it is specific. Not more money, but exactly how much, by when, and for what purpose. Not a better life, but precisely what that life contains, how it feels, and what it enables you to do. The universe cannot deliver what you cannot clearly describe. Second, a true desire is emotionally compelling. It must pull you forward even when obstacles appear. It must make you willing to change, to learn, to become someone you have never been before. If your desire does not make you slightly uncomfortable with who you are today, it is not strong enough to create who you need to become tomorrow. Third, a true desire is backed by commitment, not just enthusiasm. Enthusiasm fades when difficulties arise. Commitment deepens. When you are truly committed to a desire, you do not look for ways to avoid the work. You look for ways to do the work better. You do not make excuses for delays, you make plans to accelerate progress. The richest man alive understands that a desire with direction becomes a force of nature. It begins to reorganize everything around it. Opportunities that were invisible suddenly become obvious. People who could help mysteriously appear. Resources previously out of reach somehow become available. This is not magic, it is the natural result of focused mental energy creating focused action. Consider how desire with direction transforms your daily choices. When your financial goal is vague, you make vague decisions. You might save money this month, spend carelessly the next. You might pursue one opportunity halfway, then abandon it for another that seems easier. You react to circumstances instead of creating them. But when your desire is clear and compelling, every choice has context. You know immediately whether an opportunity moves you toward your goal or away from it. You can say no to good things because you are committed to great things. You stop seeking easy and start seeking effective. Direction also transforms how you handle setbacks. When your desire is vague, any obstacle feels like a reason to quit. But when your desire is clear, obstacles become puzzles to solve. You ask better questions. Not, why is this happening to me? But, what is this teaching me? Not, should I give up? But, how do I adjust my approach? The practical application of this principle begins with defining your desires with ruthless precision. Take what you currently call your financial goals and examine them with a jeweler's eye. If you want to be financially free, define exactly what that means in dollars, lifestyle, and timeline. If you want to make more money, specify the amount, the source, and the deadline. Write your refined desire in present tense, as if it has already happened. Not I will have, but I have. Not I hope to become, but I am. This is not self-deception. It is training your mind to recognize the reality you are creating. Then identify the person you must become to achieve this desire. What skills must you develop? What habits must you build? What beliefs must you adopt? Your desire is the destination, but your identity is the vehicle that will carry you there. Finally, take one action today that proves your commitment to yourself. Not tomorrow, not when conditions are perfect, but today. The size of the action matters less than the certainty of it. Small, consistent actions rooted in clear desire create momentum that eventually becomes unstoppable. You are not at the mercy of vague hopes and random circumstances. You are the architect of specific outcomes, the creator of directed energy. When your desires become clear and your commitment becomes unshakable, you stop being someone who wants wealth and become someone who creates it. What would change in your life if your deepest desire was so clear and compelling that every choice you make serves its achievement? 10. The discipline of enough. A master craftsman sets down his tools when the work is complete. A painter knows when to lift the brush. A musician understands the power of silence between notes. Yet, when it comes to money, most people have forgotten the most essential skill of all, knowing when to stop. They chase the next dollar with the same hunger as the first. They pursue the 100th opportunity with the same desperation as someone who has never earned a cent. They live in a state of perpetual wanting, never pausing to ask the question that could transform their entire relationship with wealth. How much is enough? This is not a question about settling for less. This is a question about claiming your power. The richest man alive has discovered something that eludes almost everyone. The discipline of enough is not a limitation. It is the foundation of unlimited wealth. When you know what enough looks like, you become immune to the two forces that destroy more fortunes than market crashes and economic disasters combined: greed and fear. Consider the difference between a man who knows his number and a man who does not. The first sleeps soundly because he understands exactly what he is building toward. His decisions flow from clarity, not compulsion. He can pass on opportunities that others would grab desperately because he recognizes which ones serve his purpose and which ones merely feed his ego. He negotiates from strength because he is not driven by need. The second man lives in a constant state of anxiety disguised as ambition. No amount feels safe because he has never defined safety. No victory satisfies because he has never declared what victory means. He says yes to everything because he fears missing the one thing that might finally be enough. But enough never comes to the person who has not decided what it is. This is why lottery winners often end up broke while methodical savers become millionaires. The lottery winner receives money without developing the discipline of enough. The saver develops the discipline first, then attracts the money to match. Greed tells you that more is always better. Fear whispers that what you have will never be sufficient. Both are liars, and both will bankrupt you if you listen. Greed makes you overreach until you lose what you already built. Fear makes you hoard opportunities until they slip through your paralyzed hands. But when you establish your enough, something remarkable happens. You become dangerous to your competition not because you want everything, but because you want the right things with complete clarity. You can make decisions that others cannot make because you are guided by purpose rather than impulse. The discipline of enough does not mean you stop growing. It means you grow with intention instead of obsession. A tree does not stop reaching toward the sun, but it also knows when to send energy to its roots. It understands the seasons of expansion and the seasons of consolidation. You begin developing this discipline by defining your enough in 3 dimensions. First, what is enough security? Not enough to eliminate all risk that is impossible and would eliminate all growth, but enough to make decisions from confidence rather than desperation. Second, what is enough success? What would victory actually look like if you achieved it? Third, what is enough impact? How much difference do you want to make, and for whom? These are not numbers you set once and forget. They evolve as you grow. But at any given moment, you must know where the lines are drawn. Without these boundaries, you become like water without a container, spreading everywhere and holding nothing. The practical application begins with a simple exercise that most people resist because it requires them to confront their own confusion. Write down, with complete honesty, what enough would look like for you in the next 5 years. Not what sounds impressive to others, not what you think you should want, but what would actually satisfy the deepest parts of your ambition. Then examine every current pursuit against that standard. Which of your activities move you toward your enough, and which ones merely feed the illusion that more activity equals more progress? The discipline begins when you start saying no to the second category, even when they promise immediate rewards. This practice will reveal something unsettling. Much of what you call ambition is actually addiction. You pursue certain opportunities, not because they serve your vision, but because the pursuit itself has become a compulsion. The discipline of enough breaks these chains by giving you a reference point stronger than your impulses. You become a person who knows the difference between investment and speculation, between building and gambling, between confidence and arrogance. You develop what others mistake for supernatural patience, the ability to wait for the right opportunity rather than jumping at the first one. But it is not patience at all. It is the natural behavior of someone who knows exactly what they are looking for. Most importantly, you discover that enough is not a ceiling, it is a foundation, when you are no longer driven by the fear of not having enough or the greed for having everything. Your mind becomes free to see possibilities that desperation blinds you to. You make better decisions because you are no longer making them from a place of lack. You are not someone who settles for less. You are someone who has learned to want powerfully and precisely. And in a world full of people scattered by their own unlimited desires, this makes you irresistibly magnetic to the very wealth they are chasing so frantically. What would you dare to build if you knew exactly what enough meant to you? 11. Quiet power of patience. There is a story told about two men who arrived at the edge of a rushing river on the same day. Both needed to cross to the other side, where opportunity waited. The first man, driven by urgency, immediately began searching for logs and rope to build a raft. He worked frantically, his hands bleeding from the rough wood, his mind consumed with the fear that opportunity would vanish if he didn't hurry. The second man sat quietly by the riverbank and studied the water's rhythm. He noticed how the current moved, where it was strongest, where it was most gentle. He observed the patterns of debris flowing downstream and the places where the water ran clear. After 3 hours, the first man launched his hastily built raft. It capsized within minutes, sending him tumbling downstream, his efforts wasted and his body battered. The second man waited until evening, when the river naturally slowed, then crossed easily on a log he had positioned at exactly the right spot. He arrived at his destination refreshed and ready, while the first man was still struggling to reach the shore. This is the difference between those who build lasting wealth and those who chase it frantically. Money grows for the person who can wait and shrinks for the person who must have everything now. The richest man alive has learned something that eludes most people. Patience is not passive waiting. It is active preparation for the right moment. While others rush into investments they don't understand, business deals that promise quick returns, or purchases that drain their resources, he moves with deliberate timing. He knows that wealth is not built in moments of frantic action, but in the quiet accumulation of wise decisions over time. Consider how nature operates. The oak tree that stands for centuries does not grow tall in a single season. Its roots spread slowly, deeply, creating an invisible foundation that can weather any storm. Each ring in its trunk represents another year of patient growth, another layer of strength that could not be rushed or forced. The tree that tries to grow too quickly, reaching desperately for the sun, develops weak wood that snaps at the first strong wind. Your wealth follows the same principle. The money that comes quickly often leaves just as fast because it lacks the deep roots of patience, preparation, and understanding. But the wealth that grows slowly, fed by consistent wise choices and protected by patient discipline, becomes unshakable. The person ruled by impatience makes predictable mistakes. He buys high because he fears missing out. He sells low because he cannot endure temporary discomfort. He jumps from opportunity to opportunity, never allowing any single investment, whether financial, personal, or professional, time to mature. His money leaks away through 1,000 small decisions made under the pressure of right now. But you can choose differently. You can become the person who thinks in seasons rather than moments. When others see a market crash and panic, you see a clearance sale and prepare to act. When others chase the latest investment trend, you continue building your understanding and your resources. When others demand immediate results from their efforts, you plant seeds knowing that harvest comes to those who tend their fields with patience. This patience extends beyond money to every aspect of wealth building. You become willing to spend years developing a skill that will pay you for decades. You accept smaller profits today in exchange for larger opportunities tomorrow. You invest in relationships that may not show returns for years, but will become invaluable when the right moment arrives. The richest man alive also understands that patience gives you something more valuable than money. It gives you power. When you are not desperate for immediate results, you cannot be pressured into bad deals. When you are not racing against artificial deadlines, you can negotiate from strength. When you are not afraid of temporary setbacks, you can take calculated risks that others avoid. Patience transforms your relationship with money itself. Instead of being the person who chases after it desperately, you become the person it flows toward naturally. Instead of making decisions from fear and urgency, you make them from clarity and wisdom. Instead of reacting to every market fluctuation and economic headline, you follow your long-term plan with quiet confidence. Start practicing this patience in small ways. When you feel the urge to make an immediate purchase, wait one day. Use that time to consider whether this expense moves you toward your goals or away from them. When you hear about a limited-time investment opportunity, resist the pressure to decide quickly. Take time to understand what you're being asked to invest in and why the urgency exists. Pay attention to your internal rhythms. Notice how different your decision-making becomes when you're not under time pressure. Watch how much clearer you think when you give yourself space to consider all angles. Observe how much stronger your position becomes when you're not forced to act immediately. You are developing something that cannot be taught in any business school: the quiet power of patience. You are becoming someone who moves when the time is right, not when circumstances demand it. You are transforming from a person driven by urgency into someone guided by wisdom. The richest man alive learned long ago that in the race to build wealth, the fastest starter rarely wins. Victory belongs to the person who can maintain the right pace for the entire journey, who can wait for the right opportunities, and who understands that true wealth is built not in moments of haste but in years of patient, consistent action. What would become possible in your life if you stopped rushing toward wealth and started allowing it to grow toward you? 12. Character compounds. Watch a master craftsman at work, and you will see something curious. His hands move with certainty. His tools obey his will. Materials bend to his vision. But the most remarkable thing is not what he creates, it is how others respond to him. Suppliers give him the best materials. Customers wait months for his work. Apprentices seek his teaching. Money flows to him not because he chases it, but because his reputation precedes him into every room. The richest man alive has learned a secret that the desperate money seeker never discovers. Character is the ultimate currency. While others scramble to accumulate dollars, he has been accumulating something far more valuable: a reputation built on integrity, reliability, and courage. These qualities compound like interest, but unlike money in a bank account, they multiply your opportunities and allies in ways that surprise even you. Most people think character is a luxury they cannot afford. They believe that in the real world of money and business, you must sometimes bend the truth, break promises, or take the easy path. They see integrity as an expense and shortcuts as investments. This is the thinking of the permanently poor, and it creates exactly the poverty they fear. You become wealthy not despite your character, but because of it. Every time you keep your word when it costs you something, you make a deposit in an account that pays dividends forever. Every time you do the right thing when no one is watching, you build a reputation that will speak for you in rooms you have never entered. Every time you choose courage over comfort, you compound your ability to seize opportunities that frightened people cannot touch. Consider the man who always pays his debts on time, even when money is tight. At first, this seems like a burden. He must sacrifice wants for obligations, deny himself pleasures to honor his promises. But watch what happens over time. Lenders seek him out. Suppliers extend him credit without hesitation. Partners know that his word is his bond. Opportunities flow to him because people trust him with their most valuable asset, their confidence. Now observe his neighbor, who believes that promises are suggestions and integrity is optional. This man may gain short-term advantages by cutting corners, but he unknowingly builds a reputation that repels opportunity. Lenders demand higher interest rates. Suppliers require cash up front. Partners insist on detailed contracts and guarantees. His character debt compounds just as surely as the good man's character wealth, creating invisible barriers that block his path to prosperity. The magic of character is that it works even when you cannot see it working. A businessman I once knew discovered this truth in a remarkable way. For years, he had conducted his affairs with scrupulous honesty, sometimes at significant financial cost. When a major opportunity arose, one that would transform his entire industry, he learned that he had been chosen not for his credentials or his capital, but because someone had said, "Find me a man whose word I can trust completely." A reputation built over decades of small, costly choices had created his greatest single opportunity. You begin building this character compound account today, in this very moment, with the next choice you make. When you speak, do you tell the exact truth or a convenient version of it? When you commit to something, do you follow through completely or offer creative excuses? When you face a difficult decision, do you choose what is right or what is easy? Every interaction becomes an investment in your character account. The clerk who gives you too much change, do you keep it or return it? The project that will take longer than promised, do you deliver excellence late or mediocrity on time? The opportunity that requires you to mislead someone, do you pursue it or pass? These moments seem small, but they are building something that will determine the trajectory of your entire financial life. Reliability compounds just as powerfully as integrity. When you say you will arrive at 10, you arrive at 10. When you promise delivery on Friday, you deliver on Friday. When you commit to a standard of quality, you meet that standard. This seems like basic competence, but in a world of excuses and flexible commitments, reliability makes you extraordinarily valuable. Courage compounds most dramatically of all. Every time you face a fear and act despite it, you expand your ability to seize opportunities that timid people cannot touch. Every time you speak truth when others remain silent, you build a reputation for leadership that draws resources and people to your cause. Every time you take responsibility when others point fingers, you demonstrate the character that makes others want to follow you into profitable ventures. The beautiful secret is that character pays both visible and invisible dividends. The visible dividends come as opportunities, partnerships, and privileges that flow to those who are trusted completely. The invisible dividends come as the deep confidence that allows you to sleep peacefully, think clearly, and act boldly in a world where most people are distracted by guilt, anxiety, and the exhausting effort of maintaining false appearances. You are not just building wealth when you choose character over convenience. You are becoming the kind of person that wealth naturally seeks. You are creating a gravitational field of trust that pulls opportunities toward you. You are investing in a currency that never loses its value and always finds a way to multiply itself. Who are you becoming with each choice you make today, the person that money flows toward or the person it flows away from? 13. Friends of fortune. Walk into any gathering of wealthy people, and you will notice something curious. They do not speak the same language as everyone else, not in words, but in assumptions. They assume abundance is normal. They assume problems have solutions. They assume opportunities exist everywhere. They assume money can be made, not just earned. These assumptions flow between them like an invisible current, charging everyone in the room with the same electric possibility. Now walk into a room where money is always scarce, where bills pile up faster than paychecks, where every conversation circles back to what cannot be afforded. Here, too, assumptions flow like current. But this current drains. It whispers that money is limited, that rich people are lucky or corrupt, that wanting more is somehow wrong. Everyone absorbs these messages until they become internal truths. You are always becoming more like the people you spend the most time with. This is not opinion, this is law. Your income, your habits, your dreams, even your vocabulary slowly drift toward the average of your closest companions. Show me your 5 closest friends, and I can predict your financial future with startling accuracy. The richest man alive understands that friendship is not neutral. Every relationship either lifts you toward wealth or pulls you towards struggle. There is no middle ground because money is never a middle ground topic. People either believe in abundance or scarcity, possibility or limitation, growth or stagnation. Their beliefs become the air you breathe when you are with them. Consider the conversations that fill your days. Are they about what is possible or what is impossible? Do they focus on opportunities or obstacles? Do they celebrate success or criticize ambition? Do they ask, "How can we?" or declare, "We cannot"? The quality of your conversations determines the quality of your thinking, and the quality of your thinking determines the quality of your results. This does not mean you abandon old friends or become coldly calculating about relationships. It means you become conscious about influence. You recognize that some people energize your ambitions while others drain them. Some expand your sense of what is possible while others shrink it. Some challenge you to grow while others comfort you in staying small. The poor choose friends who make them feel better about their circumstances. The rich choose friends who make them want to improve their circumstances. Both get exactly what they unconsciously seek. You become wealthy not by cutting ties with everyone who earns less than you, but by surrounding yourself with people who think like wealth. They may be janitors or executives, students or retirees. Their bank account matters far less than their mindset. What matters is whether they believe in growth, embrace responsibility, and see possibilities where others see problems. Wealth-minded people share certain qualities regardless of their current income. They read instead of just consuming entertainment. They discuss ideas instead of just gossip. They take responsibility instead of making excuses. They see setbacks as education instead of evidence that life is unfair. They celebrate others' success instead of resenting it. They invest in themselves instead of only spending on comfort. When you surround yourself with such people, their standards become your standards. Their expectations become your expectations. Their possibilities become your possibilities. You do not have to force yourself to change. You change naturally, automatically, inevitably. But here is what most people miss. Becoming friends with wealth-minded people requires that you become wealth-minded yourself. Like attracts like. You cannot expect ambitious, growth-oriented people to seek your company if you bring nothing but complaints and limitations to every conversation. You must become the kind of person you wish to attract. This means taking responsibility for the energy you bring to every interaction. Are you the person others seek when they want to explore possibilities, or when they want to complain about impossibilities? Are you known for your solutions or your problems? Do people leave conversations with you feeling energized or drained? The richest man alive is intentional about every relationship. He invests time with people who challenge his thinking, expand his vision, and hold him accountable to his highest standards. He becomes the kind of friend to others that he wishes others to be to him. He understands that his network is not just his net worth, it is the invisible force that shapes who he becomes. You are not the victim of your social circle. You are its architect. Every day, you choose who gets your time, attention, and energy. Every day, you choose which conversations to join and which to avoid. Every day, you choose whether to seek people who inspire your growth or comfort your stagnation. Your wealth will never rise higher than the collective expectations of the people you keep closest. If they expect struggle, you will struggle. If they expect mediocrity, you will be mediocre. If they expect greatness, you will find ways to be great. You become wealthy by choosing friends who already live in the mental world, where wealth is normal, expected, and achievable. Their reality becomes your reality. Their normal becomes your normal. Their possible becomes your possible. The question is not whether the people around you are already rich. The question is whether they think like people who are becoming rich. Who are you becoming through the company you keep? And is that who you want to be? 14. The investor mind. Two men walk through the same marketplace. The first sees a worn building with peeling paint and shakes his head at the high asking price. The second sees the same building and notices the steady stream of people walking past, the new businesses opening nearby, and the potential for something beautiful. One man sees problems and cost. The other sees possibility and profit. The difference between them is not luck, education, or even money in their pockets. The difference is how their minds process what they see. One has learned to think like a consumer. The other has developed the investor mind. The poor see price, the rich see value, and the wisest see systems that create value again and again. This is not simply about buying stocks or real estate. This is about fundamentally rewiring how you interpret every opportunity that crosses your path. Most people have been trained to think like consumers from birth. They look at everything through the lens of immediate cost and immediate pleasure. How much does it cost? Can I afford it? Will I enjoy it? These are consumer questions, and they create consumer results. You buy things that lose value. You spend time on activities that don't compound. You make choices that feel good today, but leave you weaker tomorrow. The person with an investor mind asks completely different questions. What does this create over time? How does this grow? What systems does this put into motion? Where will this lead in 5 years? They are not concerned with the immediate price tag. They are fascinated by the long-term value equation. Consider education. The consumer mind sees the cost of learning something new, the time, the effort, the discomfort of being a beginner. The investor mind sees a skill that will pay dividends for decades. The consumer mind avoids the investment. The investor mind makes it eagerly. Consider relationships. The consumer mind asks what others can do for them right now. The investor mind asks what value they can create for others over time, knowing that all valuable relationships are built on a foundation of giving first. The consumer mind depletes relationships. The investor mind multiplies them. Consider problems. The consumer mind sees problems as obstacles to avoid. The investor mind sees problems as assets to acquire, because every unsolved problem represents an opportunity to create value for which others will pay. The bigger the problem you can solve, the bigger the reward waiting for you. This shift in thinking transforms everything. You stop looking for quick returns and start building systems that generate returns repeatedly. You stop avoiding risk and start learning how to evaluate it intelligently. You stop seeing failures as losses and start seeing them as education that makes your next investment smarter. The wisest investors understand something even deeper. They don't just look for good investments, they look for systems that create investments. They don't just solve problems, they build systems that solve problems continuously. They don't just create value once they create systems that generate value again and again. This is why the richest people often seem to make money effortlessly. They are not working harder than everyone else. They have built systems that work for them. Their money makes money. Their reputation creates opportunities. Their network generates referrals. Their knowledge compounds into wisdom. Every investment feeds the others. You can develop this mind. It begins with a simple practice. Before you spend time, money, or energy on anything, ask yourself 3 questions. What will this create over time? How does this build my capacity for the future? What system am I strengthening or weakening with this choice? Start viewing your daily choices through this lens. That book you read is not just entertainment, it is intellectual capital. That skill you develop is not just a hobby, it is an asset that can generate income. That person you help is not just a good deed, it is an investment in a relationship that may create mutual value for years. Train yourself to see past the immediate transaction to the system behind it. When you buy something, notice what system you are supporting with your money. When you sell something, think about what system you are building with your time and energy. When you learn something, consider what system of knowledge you are expanding. The investor mind is patient because it sees the compound effect of good decisions. It is optimistic because it understands that value, once created, tends to multiply. It is selective because it knows that not every opportunity deserves your limited resources. You become wealthy when you stop thinking like someone who buys things and start thinking like someone who builds systems. You stop asking, how much does it cost? And start asking, what does this create? You stop looking for quick gains and start building foundations that support lasting prosperity. This one, you can with maybe a visited Furzy day. You can with haps event to Bevan 7, and right to market cast it. The richest man alive does not see the world as a collection of things to buy or experiences to consume. He sees it as a vast network of systems creating value. and his role is to participate in ways that strengthen the most important systems while building new ones that serve the world. You are not destined to remain a consumer forever. You have the capacity to develop the investor mind that sees opportunity everywhere and builds value that compounds over time. The question is not whether you can afford to think this way. The question is whether you can afford not to. What systems are you building today that will serve you for the rest of your life? 15. Calm in uncertainty. The storm arrived without warning. While others fled in panic, one man stood firm on the deck, his eyes fixed not on the chaos around him, but on the stars above that would guide him home. The waves crashed higher, the wind howled louder, yet his hands remained steady on the wheel. He understood what the others had forgotten. Storms pass, but the captain who loses his nerve may never recover his course. In the world of wealth, uncertainty is not the exception, it is the rule. Markets rise and fall like tides. Industries emerge and vanish like morning mist. Opportunities appear and disappear faster than most can recognize them. Yet in this swirling chaos, one quality separates those who build lasting wealth from those who are swept away by every shift in fortune: the ability to remain calm when others lose their heads. The richest man alive has learned the secret that eludes the masses. While others see uncertainty as the enemy of wealth, he sees it as the very source of all opportunity. Where others see chaos, he sees the natural rhythm of commerce. Where others see reasons to panic, he sees reasons to prepare, to position, and to profit. Consider how differently two men respond to the same crisis. The first man watches his investments decline and immediately calls his broker, demanding to sell everything before it gets worse. His mind races with worst-case scenarios. His sleep vanishes. His judgment clouds with fear, and he makes desperate decisions that turn temporary setbacks into permanent losses. The second man watches the same decline with different eyes. His pulse remains steady. His mind stays clear. He asks not, "How can I escape this?" but "What does this reveal?" He studies the situation with the detachment of a scientist examining specimens under glass. Where others see disaster, he sees assets trading at discount prices. Where others see endings, he sees new beginnings taking shape. The difference between these two men is not intelligence, education, or even experience. The difference lies in their relationship with uncertainty itself. The first man believes that safety comes from prediction and control. He expects the world to behave according to his plans, and when it doesn't, he panics. The second man knows that uncertainty is the price of being alive in a dynamic world, and he has made peace with that price. You become wealthy not by avoiding uncertainty, but by developing the inner composure to think clearly within it. The storms of commerce, market crashes, economic downturns, industry disruptions do not destroy wealth. They redistribute it. They transfer it from those who panic to those who remain calm, from those who react to those who respond, from those who are swept along by events to those who navigate through them with purpose. This calm is not the absence of emotion, but the presence of something stronger than emotion: disciplined thinking. When uncertainty strikes, the wealthy man does not suppress his natural human reactions of concern or surprise. Instead, he acknowledges these feelings and then moves beyond them to analysis, strategy, and action. The practice of maintaining calm in uncertainty begins long before the storms arrive. It develops through daily disciplines of mind and spirit. The wealthy man studies history and sees that every apparent catastrophe has been followed by recovery and growth. He builds financial reserves not just of money, but of knowledge, relationships, and skills that remain valuable regardless of external circumstances. He trains his mind to separate facts from fears, signals from noise, temporary setbacks from permanent changes. When uncertainty does arrive, as it always does, he has developed the reflexes of wisdom. He asks the questions that calm minds ask. What are the facts, stripped of emotion and speculation? What patterns from history might guide his thinking? What opportunities might be emerging in the midst of apparent chaos? What actions can he take that will serve him well regardless of how events unfold? Most importantly, he remembers that uncertainty is not his enemy, but his competitive advantage. While others are paralyzed by what they cannot predict or control, he moves forward with what he can influence and improve. While others waste energy fighting reality, he invests energy in adapting to it. While others curse the darkness of not knowing what comes next, he lights the candle of preparing for multiple possibilities. You are not at the mercy of uncertain times, you are positioned to benefit from them. Every period of chaos creates new hierarchies of wealth. Every disruption elevates some and diminishes others. The question is not whether uncertainty will come to your life and your finances. The question is whether you will meet it with the calm clarity of wisdom or the frantic confusion of fear. The richest man alive sleeps well not because his world is predictable, but because his principles are unshakable. He prospers not because he can see the future, but because he can think clearly in the present, regardless of what swirls around him. When the next storm comes to your financial world, and it will come, will you be the one who panics and sells at the bottom? Or the one who remains calm and buys what others abandon in fear? 2:16. Giving as strategy. The most successful merchant in ancient times understood something that baffled his competitors. While they hoarded their finest goods, displaying them only when customers arrived with money in hand, he would regularly give away samples of his best wares to strangers, visitors, and even children who could afford nothing. His rivals mocked this practice as foolish waste, yet, year after year, his wealth grew while theirs remained stagnant. What his competitors failed to grasp was that giving had become his most profitable investment strategy. When you become the source of opportunity, help, and insight for others, money starts looking for you. Most people operate from a closed-fist mentality, believing that holding tight to what they have is the path to accumulating more. They guard their knowledge, hoard their connections, and offer help only when certain of immediate return. This approach springs from a fundamental misunderstanding of how wealth actually flows. Money, like water, moves toward the lowest point, not the most desperate point, but the most generous source. It flows to those who have become fountains rather than wells, givers rather than getters, sources rather than drains. You become wealthy not by taking more from the stream, but by becoming part of the spring that feeds it. The richest man alive discovered long ago that the universe operates on reciprocal principles. What you send out returns to you multiplied. But this principle only works when your giving is genuine, not calculated. The moment you give solely to get, you transform generosity into manipulation, and the flow reverses. True strategic giving operates from abundance thinking. You give your best ideas freely because you know better ones will come. You share opportunities with others because you trust that greater opportunities will find you. You help people succeed because you understand that their success creates expanding circles of prosperity that will eventually include you. This does not mean giving without wisdom or boundaries. The richest man gives strategically, choosing recipients who will use his gifts to create value, not waste them on consumption. He invests his generosity where it will multiply, not where it will disappear. Consider how this principle operates in daily life. When you freely share your knowledge with a colleague, they begin to see you as a valuable resource. When you connect two people who benefit from knowing each other, both remember you as someone who creates opportunity. When you help someone solve a problem without asking for anything in return, they naturally want to reciprocate when they encounter something that might benefit you. You are not keeping score, but the universe is. The richest man gives away his best insights, knowing that teaching others strengthens his own understanding. He introduces people who should know each other, knowing that valuable networks form around those who connect others. He helps people recognize and develop their talents, knowing that successful people remember those who believed in them early. This approach requires a fundamental shift in how you view your resources. Your knowledge is not diminished when shared, it is expanded through the new perspectives and applications others bring to it. Your network is not weakened when you make introductions, it is strengthened by the gratitude and trust such connections create. Your reputation is not damaged when you help competitors, it is enhanced by your display of confidence and character. The practice begins with small, daily acts. Share a useful insight with someone who could benefit from it. Introduce two people who should know each other. Recommend someone for an opportunity, even when there is no immediate benefit to you. Teach a skill to someone who is eager to learn. Offer genuine encouragement to someone pursuing a worthy goal. You will notice that as you become known as someone who gives freely, people begin bringing opportunities to you first. They know you will share what you cannot use yourself, so they trust you with information and invitations. They see you as someone who creates value for others, so they want to create value for you. This is not charity, it is the highest form of business strategy. You are building something more valuable than any single transaction. You are building a reputation as a source, and sources attract resources. Start where you are, with what you have. If you possess knowledge that could help someone, share it. If you know two people who should meet, introduce them. If you see an opportunity that does not fit your current situation, pass it along to someone it would serve. If you have a skill someone needs to learn, teach them. You become the richest man alive when you realize that the more you give, the more you receive, not because you expect return, but because generosity creates the conditions where abundance flows naturally toward you. What would happen if you became known as the person who always helps others succeed? 17. Wealth as responsibility. There exists a peculiar moment in every wealthy person's journey, a moment when the rules change completely. It happens not when they first make money, but when they first realize what money actually is. The poor man sees money as freedom from his problems. The rich man discovers money is responsibility for solutions that extend far beyond himself. Most people spend their entire lives misunderstanding wealth. They see the mansions, the cars, the vacations, and conclude that wealth means the power to consume more. They chase money believing it will give them the right to take more from the world. This fundamental misunderstanding is why most people who acquire money quickly lose it, and why those born into wealth often squander it within a generation. The richest man alive knows a secret that transforms everything. True wealth is not the power to consume more, but the responsibility to direct more toward what matters. Consider the difference between a river and a reservoir. A reservoir holds water for itself, and over time, without fresh flow, it stagnates. A river moves water through itself, nourishing everything in its path. And because of this constant flow, it remains fresh, powerful, and essential to the landscape around it. Money behaves the same way. When you try to hold it all for yourself, it stagnates. When you learn to direct it purposefully, it flows through you in ever-increasing abundance. This is not about charity, though charitable giving may be part of it. This is about recognizing that wealth places you in a position of stewardship. You become responsible not just for your own family's security, but for the livelihoods of those you employ, the communities where you invest, the industries you influence, and the legacy you leave behind. The moment you shift from seeing wealth as permission to take to seeing it as responsibility to give direction, everything changes. Your decisions become weightier because they affect more people. Your investments become more thoughtful because you're building something larger than personal comfort. Your time becomes more precious because others depend on how you use it. This responsibility is not a burden, it is the source of wealth's greatest rewards. When you accept that your financial success makes you responsible for creating value in the world, you discover that the world begins organizing itself to help you succeed. Opportunities present themselves because people recognize you as someone who can be trusted with them. Resources flow to you because you've proven you know how to direct them wisely. The poor man spends money to solve his own problems. The rich man spends money to solve problems for many people. The wealthiest man sees every dollar as a vote he casts for the kind of world he wants to create. You see this principle at work in every lasting fortune. The wealth that endures across generations is never built by those who saw money as an end in itself. It is built by those who saw money as a means to accomplish something meaningful. They didn't accumulate wealth to escape responsibility. They accumulated it to fulfill responsibility on a larger scale. When you embrace wealth as responsibility, several profound shifts occur in how you think and act. You begin to measure success not by what you can afford to buy, but by what you can afford to build. You start asking not, what can this money do for me? But, what can I do with this money that will matter long after I'm gone? Your relationship with money becomes calmer because you're no longer clinging to it for your identity or security. Instead, you're partnering with it to accomplish purposes larger than yourself. Paradoxically, when you hold money lightly, while holding your responsibilities seriously, more money flows to you than when you desperately grasp for it. This shift in perspective also transforms how others see you. People can sense the difference between someone who wants money to take from the world and someone who wants money to contribute to it. They naturally want to help, invest with, and create opportunities for the person whose wealth serves purposes beyond mere personal consumption. The practical application of this principle begins with a simple but profound shift in how you think about every financial decision. Before you spend, invest, or save money, ask yourself, how does this choice reflect my responsibility as a steward of resources? This question will guide you toward decisions that build lasting value rather than temporary pleasure. Start directing a portion of your resources, however small, initially toward causes, people, or projects that matter beyond your immediate circle. This is not about the amount. It's about establishing the habit of thinking beyond yourself. As your wealth grows, this habit will ensure that your influence grows in positive directions. Most importantly, begin to see every business decision, every investment choice, and every expenditure as a reflection of your values. You are not just moving money around, you are voting for the kind of economy, the kind of community, and the kind of world you want to see exist. You are not wealthy when you have enough money to buy whatever you want. You are wealthy when you have enough wisdom to want only what builds the world you believe in. You become truly rich, not when money serves your desires, but when you learn to serve purposes worthy of your resources. The richest man alive is rich not because he has the most money, but because he directs the most money toward the most meaningful ends. What will you build with the resources that flow through your hands? 18. Becoming the source. There exists a moment in every person's journey when the old rules stop working. The strategies that once brought modest success begin to feel empty. The tactics that once excited you now bore you. The goals that once drove you now seem strangely hollow. You have reached the edge of what chasing can accomplish. This moment is not a crisis, it is a graduation. You stand at the threshold of understanding what the richest man alive has always known. The game changes completely when you stop being a player and start being the field itself. Most people spend their entire lives positioning themselves to receive. They position for promotions, for opportunities, for breaks, for luck. They develop elaborate strategies to get money to notice them, to flow toward them, to stick with them. They become increasingly sophisticated seekers, but they remain seekers nonetheless. The richest man alive discovered something profound. There comes a point where seeking must transform into sourcing, where positioning to receive must evolve into positioning to provide, where the question stops being, how can I get what I want, and becomes, how can I become what the world needs? You become the richest man alive the day you stop chasing money and start becoming the kind of person money naturally serves. This transformation is not about abandoning your desires or pretending money doesn't matter. It is about understanding that money is always looking for a worthy steward. It seeks someone who will not hoard it, but deploy it. Someone who will not waste it, but multiply it. Someone who will not fear it, but respect it. Money, like water, seeks the lowest place, not the lowest in status, but the lowest in ego. It flows toward those who do not desperately grasp for it, but who have prepared themselves to receive and direct it wisely. When you become a source of value, insight, opportunity, and solutions for others, money begins to seek you out, rather than flee from your pursuit of it. Consider the difference between a well and a bucket. A bucket must be carried to water, filled by external effort, and carefully protected from spilling. It is always at the mercy of whoever carries it. A well, however, is connected to an underground source. Water flows to it naturally. People bring their buckets to the well, not the other way around. Most people live as buckets dependent, fearful of being emptied, constantly seeking someone else's well. The richest man alive learned to become the well itself. He developed such depth of character, such valuable capabilities, such reliable judgment, that opportunities naturally flow toward him. Others seek him out. Problems find their way to his door, along with the resources to solve them. This shift from bucket to well changes everything. When you are a bucket, you compete with other buckets for access to limited sources. When you are a well, you collaborate with others who need what you provide. Competition becomes cooperation. Scarcity becomes abundance. Anxiety becomes calm. The practical path to this transformation requires you to stop asking, "What can I get from this situation?" and start asking, "What can I give to this situation that no one else can?" It requires you to stop studying what successful people have and start studying what successful people give. Begin by taking inventory of your unique combination of experiences, insights, and capabilities. What problems can you solve that most people cannot? What perspectives can you offer that most people lack? What responsibilities can you bear that most people avoid? Your wealth will come not from competing with others for generic opportunities, but from becoming irreplaceable in your particular domain of expertise. Next, shift your daily focus from acquiring to contributing. Instead of networking to get something, network to give something. Instead of reading to gather information, read to develop wisdom worth sharing. Instead of building relationships for what they might provide you, build relationships based on what you might provide them. Start viewing every person you encounter as someone who might benefit from your unique capabilities. See every problem as a chance to demonstrate your value. See every conversation as an opportunity to plant seeds of future abundance. When you consistently show up as a source of insight, solutions, and opportunities for others, money begins to pursue you instead of requiring your pursuit. You become a person others bet on, invest in, and trust, with increasing levels of responsibility. You become someone people seek when they need problems solved, decisions made, and opportunities identified. You become the kind of person who doesn't have to convince others of their worth. Your worth becomes obvious through consistent demonstration. This is not about manipulation or positioning for personal gain. It is about genuine service that creates genuine value. The richest man alive understands that the most reliable path to getting what you want is to help others get what they want. The most dependable way to secure your own future is to become valuable in creating others' futures. When you make this shift from seeking to sourcing, money stops being something you chase and starts being something you steward. Wealth stops being something you accumulate and starts being something you circulate. Success stops being something you achieve and starts being something you enable for others. You become the richest man alive not when your bank account reaches a certain number, but when you reach the point where money serves your purposes rather than defining them. When opportunities seek you out rather than requiring your desperate pursuit. When your worth becomes so clear to others that they compete to work with you, invest in you, and learn from you. This is the final secret that separates the richest man alive from everyone else. He stopped trying to get rich and started becoming the kind of person richness naturally follows. He stopped chasing success and started becoming the source of success for others. He discovered that the fastest way to have everything is to help others achieve anything. The moment you make this shift, you join the ranks of those who truly understand wealth. You become not just rich, but richness itself, a source of abundance that benefits everyone it touches. What would happen if you stopped asking what the world could give you and started asking what you could give the world that no one else can?